Well, welcome to the Appleton's, the Wonky sculpture. We're going to do a lot of different things this week, but this morning we're going to work with clay. And the reason that you're going to start with your clay is because it does take several days to dry. So we're going to make it today, and then it's actually best to wait a few days and let it dry. And so we can probably finish up a lot of this on Friday. But today we're going to start, and you're going to build a little totem. Just to give you a little background, totems, most of you probably think of the Northern Pacific, but totems historically mean a lot to people. They can be representing different events, personal ideas, and that's where we're going today. You're making something personal. It can have certain things that mean something special to you, or you know what? We're just going to do fun shapes. That's what I'm going to do. And the neat thing about this is you're going to be able to turn this around and change it up because, as you can see, this all comes apart. But I can twist that off. And a base. And actually, this is what we need to start with, is you've got to make sure you have a base, okay, that's going to be strong enough and wide enough to support all the different pieces that you're going to be adding, okay? And if you have a longer dowel, you can make a whole bunch of pieces and keep changing it all the time if you want to. But let's get started. So I have my board. I have a ruler because I want this to be, I want my clay to be at least a ½ inch thick so the pencil can go through it without popping through the sides. I have my pencil. I have a roller to flatten things out. I have cookie cutters. You don't have to use a cookie cutter. You can just make up your own shapes as well. So this is my air dried clay. And I'm just going to take a chunk and I'm going to put this, I'm going to roll this into a coil. And when I use clay, and if I want to roll it into a coil, I usually spread my fingers just to make it roll easier. Okay. Now I'm going to flatten this. If you don't have a roller, just use your hands. Okay, so I can actually see. All right, that's better. That's a little bit more than a ½ inch. So I think that's probably better. Let's do more than a ½ inch. And let's cut that one out. Okay. Pop that out. I'm going to go straight down. I'm starting about the middle here, and I'm going to twist this slowly. Until it starts to come through. I'm going to put my finger again, so I can feel this already coming through. And I'm going to twist that back out. Put it back through. Even as these are drying, you want to put that pencil through there. Like later on today, you probably want to do this again because you want, and I usually kind of twist that around so that hole is a little bit bigger actually than the pencil, because remember how the pieces moved around on the totem. You want them to be able to move. So this hole has to be a little bit bigger. See, now that's perfect because I can get this in and out. And later on today, as these are drying, just go back and do this every once in a while to make sure you can get that pencil in and out of there. So here's another piece. Now, think about what shapes do you like? What, anything important to you? Um, is there a heart, or just some random shapes? Like these were just, I don't know, I just liked them. It seemed everything. I'm going to put this here. Okay. Most of my shapes when I started doing this seemed to be about the same size. So then I went and I made something totally different so it would stick out. So you want to have shapes that complement each other, yes, but you want to have shapes that are really different. So your totem isn't perfectly straight up and down. You want things to stick out. You want some kind of cool things going on here. So so I'm going to take my knife, or if you have, this is a tool that we use in our clay lab. It's like a needle point. And I'm just going to cut a big triangle. So cut this and cut this shape. Let's just cut that. And actually, this little curve here, it looks like a wedge of cheese. So let's leave that. Okay. Again, I'm going to put this straight down. I could put it the hole towards the front, but you know what? When it goes on here, that's going to throw that weight off. So I want my hole to go down more towards the middle. So again, I'm going to just twist. I want to make sure, I'm looking at this, I want to make sure that I'm not popping out the other side. And there we go. There it is. Keep twisting. And then I'm going to back this out, twist the other way, and back it out. And actually, I think I'm going to go down this way, just to make sure. Okay. Wiggle it around and around. I want to make that hole big enough. Okay. If you end up seeing some little cracks, now we're just going to straighten that out again. If you have any little cracks in that clay, and that might happen the more you use it, I have a tiny bit of water, and I'm just going to rub that, and I can smooth this out. And we can do this later, because since you're going to be painting, you want a nice smooth surface for paint, so you actually can go back and just smooth that with a little water. Not too much, because it gets really sloppy, okay? And but then it gives you that nice surface for painting. So I'm going to keep lining these up here. The fun thing about this is, depending on how tall your pencil is, you can make as many shapes as you want. Now, if I was going to, let's see, let's just start seeing what this looks like. Okay. Here's my, there we go. Okay. Right now, I like to separate things. That's why in my other one, I use just these little balls of clay. It helps to separate the pieces so you can actually see the shapes better. So slowly pull that off, very slowly, while these, oh, let's pull it this way. And I'm going to say, that's why I'm going to do this. Just to show you, that's why I use little shapes to separate. I just use these little ones. whoops. Yeah, by putting something in between, then you can really see those creative shapes that you made. Okay, so that's something that you might want to think about. Now, it could be just a little ball, but it could be you know, something like this, or let's do something long like that. I'm going to roll this, put this all back together again. And I'm going to roll out a coil again. If you don't have air dried clay, you could use Play-Doh. I mean, if you have Play-Doh, you can use regular clay if you have clay, any type of modeling clay, any type of clay that will hold a shape, you could do. I'm going to just, let's see. I'm going to cut this straight at the end. I'm going to cut this straight at the end, and I am going to wiggle this. Let's see, we can bend it and then bend it again. So it's like an S shape. I'm going to put my knuckle in there. And then I'm going to put my knuckle in here and go around my knuckle. Okay. Put my knuckle here and go around my knuckle. So I have this kind of wiggly shape. And let's take this out because I need my pencil. Right, again, I'm going to wiggle that through, twisting. And then I just want to make that big. I'm going to go the other way to make sure I can get that through. See, when you poke that through, you end up with this little stuff. Just kind of flatten that out so it doesn't get in the way. So here, now, because I've grabbed it and everything, it's kind of lost its shape. So I certainly can go back and do this again. And I may just want to pinch that a little bit. So maybe I'm going to pinch that and curl that up, and maybe I'll pinch this side. And let's see what this is looking like. I love to use just little balls of clay. So I am going to push this right down through and twist that. This is going to be one of my little separators. So let's do this one. Then I just want to see what this is starting to look like, because if I don't like it, I can always change this. So let's put this piece of cheese through here. And then I would probably do another separation, and it might be a ball. I don't know. But now I'm going to put this thing through, twist this. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to play with this until I like it. Can you see how this is starting to be heavy and it's starting to fall over? I may attach this ball to this piece of clay at the bottom to make this stronger. So this ball is not going to come off. I want to make that base stronger so this won't be so tippy. Okay. So I'm going to pull this off. And I am going to make little, this is called scoring. I want to attach this ball, and I'm going to score this also by making little lines. What I want this clay to do is when I put this on here, I want those those lines to like grab each other. And I'm also going to put a little bit of water, and I'm going to, by doing that, those two kind of, see how they kind of grab together? You can always go back and blend that on too. So it's really on there. So I'm going to go with my fingers and smooth this. And this is where I would probably at some point, see, go back with a little bit of water and smooth that out. So when I come to painting it, it's going to be much smoother and much easier to paint. So now, I'm just going to try that. That's going to be better. This doesn't wobble as much anymore. So I'm going to leave this as my whole base on here. And I'm going to make some more shapes. I'm going to roll out some more. And you know, you can make just simple geometric shapes too. Circles, squares, you know, more little, like the top of mine was just a little triangle, you know, so at the very end, you didn't see the top of the pencil. So that can be just very simple geometric shapes work extremely well. So it seems to me like I seem to make things a little crooked, higher on one side than the other. But I'm going to work here. And let's see, let's just cut out a circle. You know what? I am going to cut out a circle. Sometimes air dried clay, or actually any type of clay, can be hard to get out of a cookie cutter. But you know what? Now that I have this circle, I'm going to cut this in half. So I have two. And again, right through. Okay, back that out. See, I also, when I'm building something like this, I like to have some symmetry because visually, you want this to be pleasing to look at. And symmetry is always pleasing to look at because you have that balance, okay? Things should relate to each other, and repeating things is another way to give a drawing, a painting, a sculpture some balance. And I'm sure you all know what balance is, you know. And artwork can have a balance also, and sculpture can have a balance. So using symmetry gives you that nice relationship. So I'm going to repeat these. I may end up repeating that crazy little swirly shape, but I'm not sure because it's really, really big and it's really heavy. So let's see. Let's see how this is going. Got my pencil. Let's do this shape. Careful sliding this down now because the shapes are, you know, the clay is so soft, it can get out of shape really fast. So I'm going to do that. And then let's try this. We want to see how this is looking. So, and then I'll put this on the other end of it. Okay. You know what? See, to me, I still think I need something in between these two shapes because there's not, of course, when I paint them, they also would be very different. But I'm going to leave that one. I kind of like that, the way that one's going. And honestly, not so thrilled with this cheese shape right now. So I'm not even sure I'm going to use that. So let's go back to this one. And I'm going to make a ball. Balls make a great separator. You can never have too many of these. So if I did that, then did this one. See, I like that separation. Now I might make another ball. It doesn't have to be the same size. And that is kind of big. Take a little of that off. And twist that. I am quickly running out of space, I can tell. I am very quickly running out of space. Okay. Here's another idea. See, the thing is, you can keep changing these. Make a whole bunch. I think I'm going to put this in the middle. And then this one. Let's turn this one the other way. This one. Then this one. It's kind of tippy. Okay. I think I like that. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you can see this. All right, that's a hat. There's a face. These are arms. That's a dress or something. But do you see the shoulders and the arm coming up and the arm coming down? This person could be dancing. I'm going to take this off. But let me see. I have a little more space here. I could make those balls smaller, which then would allow me to have more space up here. Because if I topped that off, see, I have another space here. So let's take these off. And actually, I think probably a good idea would be to make those a little bit smaller. This one, let's see how I'm going here. This one. This one. This one. Nope, nope, nope. This one. Yeah, I want them separated. And then let's see, let me put the flower on the top. And I really have run out of space because there's the top of the pencil. And this, all right. You can let them dry like this on the pencil, but they might get a little out of shape when they're drying. It is probably better to dry them flat. So I have run out of space, as you can see. I have run out of space, but that doesn't mean that you don't have to, you can make a lot more because then you can keep changing these. Now this one, well, it was still wet. So you can do any designs on this while this is still wet. I'm gonna put this aside. And so if I actually wanted to draw in here and make this more of a flower, I could draw the idea of the petals in here. A toothpick is great. I do have a toothpick is very good to use. So I've got details on here. So if you wanted to give these any designs, like I wanted to make. The thing is, okay, you can see when you drag this, it gets all rough. You really don't worry about it. As this dries, those little things will crumble off. Okay. Again, tiny bit of water will smooth this. And then I would go back and do it again. And then, like I said, when this dries, see all those little pieces are going to be much easier to get off once the clay is dry. So you can make as many different lines, different decorations, texture, patterns. Of course, you can always add the patterns when you paint this. That's another thing. You need to let these dry a couple of days before you start painting them or really putting this together. See how hard that one is as I'm pulling that. Whoops. Okay. I'm going to keep twisting this around and making that hole bigger. And I want to do that with all of these. And I know I mentioned it before a couple of times. Today as these are drying, even tomorrow, keep putting that pencil through these to make sure, because when these dry, they do tend to shrink just a tiny bit, because remember, these are wet, so that means it's got water in it. And when it dries, that water disappears, which means it will shrink a tiny, tiny bit. So keep, pushing this through so you can get it in there later, and you can move these things around. So when you put your sculpture together, you can play with it. You can spin it. If it doesn't spin, if these have dried and they're really tight on the pencil, go get a skinnier pencil or a pen, just something skinnier. Sometimes, and I'm not sure, we're going to use this for the Parrot, this straw. Now, you could use a straw. I'm just not sure how strong this would be. Let's see. This is obviously taller. All right. And this slides down very nicely. So it must be thinner, or maybe it's the plastic, the idea of that plastic, that this slides. Okay. I have a lot more space. Look at this one. This has a lot more space for things. So maybe I need something else in here. I do. I need something else in there. So I could put maybe 2 more shapes depending on what they're like in here. And still, these will spin. But let's get this, because I am going to use that blue straw for my Parrot. So I want to take these off. You want to lay them flat as you can, not the little balls, of course, but as flat as you can. And then just, shape them. That one's got a little crease in it. I'm going to paint a design on these probably. So, and I probably will do some of this painting on Friday, because we're doing 2 projects today and then 2 on Wednesday, but then we only have 1 left for Fridays, and that kind of gives you time to finish up anything. So Friday is probably when I'll have some of this painted before, but then we'll do some of the painting on Friday and put this thing together. And I'm just going to go over this just a little bit so I can smooth that out for painting. And before I go home today, I will go over all of this again and make sure mine there, kind of see how I want to wiggle that so things will spin around. And please make some extra shapes so then you can play with it, you know? And if you end up getting a taller stick, then you can really add to it. So there we go. And I forget how actually I did this. Maybe it was like this. See, I've got a little symmetry going in here too. There's that. It's one. So it comes up and then it comes out and goes in. And then it goes out. Just that different kind of a shape. And let's do this. I'll do this one is a stubborn one. I can hear it squeaking. And then there. Everybody ready for the parrot? Do we want to move on? And here's my parrot. And the parrot is just made with foam. Right now, I have him taped. All these different pieces are taped on, but certainly, you know, you can use tacky glue to make them more permanent. And, oh, you know what? The base is clay. Luckily, I have this nice little balled clay here. So yeah, so if you don't have foam, yeah, any kind of paper will work because the straw is it's not heavy. And what we're going to do is we're just going to tape two sides together on that. If you have styrofoam styrofoam can be really stiff. You're going to have to drill a hole in it, you know, or poke a hole like with a pencil first and then get it in there. Floral foam, but any kind of styrofoam. If you have a small dish, you can put beans, rice. You can fill it with rocks from outside. You can put dirt in it. It's something that's going to be strong enough to support that straw. Oh yeah, an eraser would work. Put a hole through it. An eraser, probably you could take a pencil and drill that hole, you know, like we did with the clay, turn it and turn it and turn it. Probably add a little touch of glue to make it really, you know, really hold. Okay. Yeah, you know, the little bathroom cups, turn it upside down and poke the hole through there, and that would work as well. The base, you want the base to be a little bit wider, you know, not just something really thin. You want it wide because it's got to support that sculpture. So yes, that cup would work. If you have a bar of soap, you know, you could drill a hole in a bar of soap and put that in there too. For now, I am going to just make a round base. So this would be my base. Okay. If you haven't got a template, what I want you to do is all right, I want you to think of, we just worked with shapes. I want you to think of a shape, a big oval shape. Okay, so if I was going to draw this body shape, excuse me, I'm going to draw, so you can see this better. I'm going to draw a big oval shape. And actually, I want this to kind of come to a point. This is going to be, so there we go. Okay, but see, I want a head on that. Okay, so let's make a big circle up here. This is what you would do with pencil. And then you're going to join around here. So there's my body. Okay. I would come out with a beak and just go in, out, and in. So basically, there is your, so let's do that again. Let's start with the head. So I'm going to start with the head. And it doesn't make any difference how many different lines you have here because you're going to cut this out. So I would come out and in and a little bit smaller because that's the bottom of his beak. All right, so there's my head. So then I'm going to come down. All right, and I'm going to come down and I want this just to come out just a little bit. I need this little spot down here to glue tail feathers onto. So instead of that perfect, perfect oval, it's got to have a little bit of a point to it. So I can put that, and this can be. So this is what you would cut out, okay? The wings and the tail feathers, again, an oval. Okay, but I want the wings to be, again, a little bit pointed on this end, a little bit pointed on that end. And it's going to be the same for the tail feathers. A little bit pointed, a little bit pointed. I'm going to make this curve a little bit. But basically, it's an oval and just add pointy ends. Okay. So I've got my wings, my tail feathers. I've got 2 different size wing feathers. You can make one smaller, you can make one larger. See, right now, I've got, see, it's going, whoops, it's going to go something like this. And I'm just going to keep adding. And I'll make a whole bunch of tail feathers. See, and just bunch them together. And because you're doing 2 sides, you have to double everything. Everything has to be duplicate. Now, I have yellow, orange, and green on this side, but I threw a blue one in there for the tail feather. So you can kind of mix that up too. Foam sometimes can be a little hard to cut, so you just take your time with this. And I'm going to trace, I'm going to trace him. And when I use paper or anything that I'm tracing, you don't want to start in the middle. You want to make the best use of this piece of paper or foam that you can. So see, what I'm thinking is if I start here, I also have space up here where I can trace wings, I can trace feathers. So I'm trying to find the best way to use this and line this up right along that edge. So I'm going to trace this. Just hold your pencil almost straight up and down and go along. Hold that down with your fingers. Okay. Just take your time. This is going to be tricky to cut out, but we can do that. Not a problem. Okay. So now you can try and cut 2 of them at the same time, but foam is not that easy to cut. So I am going to trace my second one on here. And then I'm going to cut that. Because I have these 2 right next to each other, I'm just, I'm going to cut straight down so I don't have to keep holding on to that big piece. And I am going to cut towards the bottom of this, okay? And then I'm going to use little snips with the point of my, and I'm not going to kind of turn around and do this way. Sometimes I just do little snips and then pull that little piece out And again, if I'm doing something long, I want to open my scissors. So then I'm going to open my scissors and there. So I've got one. Now I'm going to do that second one. And no matter how you try, at first they're not going to match. So we'll put them together and we'll do a little trimming. All right. Now I've got these two. And I didn't do too bad. The mouth, I'm going to trim this one. And I'm just going to trim that one just a little bit. So those, and if you see the pencil line, then you know what? Turn it the other way. So that the actual pencil lines are on the inside so you don't see them anymore. So you can do that with a toothpick. So you can make lines in the body. You know how feathers can kind of look like U shapes or just some kind of curves. Okay, they would be smaller towards the top. The body, as the body gets bigger, they would be bigger feathers. So what I'm going to do with my and remember, see, I have them both this way. Okay. Don't forget, you're flipping them over. So if I do this side with that design, I've got to do it this way. Okay, so I am going to make little lines. And it's probably hard to see, but I'm just making little curves. Let's make some bigger. I'm not going to do a lot right in here because I'm going to be attaching the wings. So I'm going to leave that. And then I want to show you what that looks like. Marker. Here we go. I brought a pink marker because blue and red makes purple. So pink is on the same idea. But I don't really want to color this because I like the blue. I'm just going to put this flat. You know what? Let me try this. I'm going to try this on a scrap, which I did here. Okay. So I'm going to make some curves on here. And I don't want to actually color this whole thing. So I'm going to put this flat and I'm just going to very lightly, and it does turn it purple. So you've got to think, do I really want to color this or do I just want to highlight some areas and leave some blue? Maybe I'm just going to use the point. I don't want that blue totally to disappear. So I'm not going to really color. I'm just going to put some lines in there so I can still see not only the blue that the line made, but some of the blue from the background. Okay. Notice that I didn't do anything up here. Okay. Here is your beak. Okay. So starting from the bottom here, you know, as if this was the beak, I'm just so you can see it better. I'm just going to outline this. I'm just going to make a curve right up. And I'm going to outline this so you can see it. Okay. This I would color in completely. Okay. And if you want to, let's see, actually put his eye here. And I'm going to, I want to make that here. So I'm actually, I should have made this back here, but you know what? Maybe we'll give him some black stripes in here too. I'm going to make him a little different. Zebra parrot. Okay. So the beak, let's close in the beak. I should have done that separately first. Okay. And then close in the head. Make an eye. This, again, is going to be all colored in. Now I'm using black, but the beak doesn't have to be black. It could be whatever you want it to be. I just happen to like using black for a lot of different things. And then I'm going to make this match the other side. So let's do that, and I'll just do another one. Yeah, zebra bird. And actually, I'm just going to put a little black on the front of him too. Okay. So let's work on one side first, and then we can do that other side. So I've got to do a little more coloring here. So I'm going to make some U's. I'm going to leave, I don't need to do here because I'm also going to glue tail feathers on there. And let's, okay. Now, I've got my wing, and I want to cut out at least 3 of these. So I'm going to use this light purple. I'm going to use, since I turned some of this blue purple, that's why I'm going to use some purple feathers. So I've got 2 different purples, and I may throw a pink in there, but I'm not sure. This may just be for the tail. I'm not sure. So let's, again, I want to line this up as close to the edge as possible and make the best use. I can put another one right here. Okay. And let's cut those out. Oops. All right, see, I am going to, again, flip that over because I don't want to see the pencil line. So I think I'm gonna put, all right, I want to match these up on those points, okay? And let's see, let's do a couple of blue ones. So, and now these are the smaller ones because you can see, so I've got large and I'm gonna get smaller, and I'm gonna do another small one. Now on these wings, you can use the toothpick also and make feathers on these. Put that in there. And cut this out. Yeah, just trim that down a little bit, and I think, see, I like that. And again, I'm going to trim this one down just a little bit. Okay. Now, if you have tacky glue, you can use tacky glue. You can line them up at the points and kind of spread them out like that a little bit, like almost like a fan. Okay. And okay, I'm going to put a little extra tape. I'm just rolling up pieces here. Now I'm going to put my tape here. Now remember, some of this is coming off that body, so I don't want to put tape down here because it's off the body shape. So I'm going to concentrate my tape towards the top and probably at the middle. So I'm going to roll that up, and I'm going to put this one across this way. So then, now I did not do the lines beforehand. You can do that before you tape that together, but I'm just going to do this. I don't want to do these other 2. I'm just going to add color just to the blue one. So these 2 are going to match. Remember, we talked about balance a little bit. So, and you're repeating things. So I'm repeating this blue, and I'm going to repeat with that purple, the pink marker that creates the purple. And I'm going to make some bigger feathers as I go down. So then just a little bit, very lightly, there, color this in. Oh yeah, I do. I like the purple eye. Actually, you know what? In here, I'm going to make a pattern. Purple, blue, purple. All right, so moving on to the tail, and I will do these in a minute. Okay, tail feathers, I am definitely going to use some of that pink. Make a bunch of tail feathers, probably at least 4 tail feathers. So here's a purple. I'm going to do 2 light and 2 dark. Excuse me, 2 light and a pink. I may throw a dark one in there. I'm not really sure yet. I'm going to have to see how it looks. And that's with a lot of things. You know, you need to experiment and try different options before you make a decision on something. Because sometimes that first idea, and you put that down, it's like, okay, that really was not the best idea. And I'm going to change that. So I want them to curve this way. Their body is tending to go that way, so I do want them to curve that way. Now let's get some pink in here and we can kind of play with this. And I think I'm going to make some smaller, even though this is all one size when we trace it. See, even though this runs off, that's fine, because I do want some smaller ones. I want to make this more of a point there. So this is going to curve, and I'm going to curve it down into a point. Just straighten this out because that's okay. So let's see. I think I want to make this one smaller. I'm going to make the longest tail feather first, and then I will go with this one, and then the purple one, or I'm going to take out that big one. I think I may just go with a purple and a pink and a purple. All right, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to use that big purple one. So let's tape this one down. Let's see that tape. So I want to pinch that underneath so I don't see it. I'll put this one right here. I think we need to have a blue tail feather in here. Yes, let's take this one out. And let's put a blue tail feather in. Keep moving things around until you really like it. And that's why so I've got to get this other bird taped together here. Just want to show you. See, we're going to put these two together on that. And you don't really need it up towards the head, okay? Because we'll put this, we'll tape that together. Mostly it's, I would say down by the wings is where you want to start this. And you don't want to go straight down the parrot. Okay, I'm going to angle that parrot a little bit because you don't usually see a parrot perfectly straight. We're going to angle him just a little bit. So see, this is where I want to put him. And I'm going to put tape first. I think I like that angle. The top of the straw is below the head, and it comes down towards, mostly towards the front of the body. And I'm going to put another little piece on here just to make sure it's steady in there. Okay, so it's not coming straight down the body, it's coming out at an angle towards the front, the chest area of the bird. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put this on top. Okay, and let me just show you. So I put tape, see, inside here. Now you can put tape inside that head, you know, just a couple of pieces inside here. And this is open, so I don't want to see that. I would put another piece of tape and I would pinch that closed. So I'm going to roll this up. Again, if you want to use tacky glue, you might want to do the tape, a little bit of the tape first to make sure you've got it, because then you could squeeze glue in here and really pinch it closed. There, I've got him. I still need some work on him. I can still put, you know, designs in the feathers. I'm going to take him out of this now and work on the, let's put the head together. Work on the designs and the coloring on here. I'm going to put that. Okay, so I need to do this whole body. And even though it's put together, you still can do, you can still add all of those little lines in there, even though the straw is in between. All these little happy faces. So here's that last feather. I'm going to put this on here. I'll put a little purple on there just to kind of blend that and balance that out and make it match just a little bit. And you know, okay, I have this straw here that if I wanted to, I could cut this down. And I think actually that's what I did on this one. I cut it because I ended up with too much. We're pretty much wrapped up. Just make sure you clean up after yourself. I'm glad you joined us for Wonky Sculpture. And this is the Appleton Museum of Art in Ocala, Florida. And I hope to see you again for the rest of our camp. Okay, good deal.